Greetings, beloveds, and welcome to Poets Corner here in Bennett Hall on the campus of Scarritt Bennett Center in Nashville, Tennessee. My name is Reverend Linda Furtado. I'm the Director of Spirituality and Arts here at Scarritt Bennett. And it is good to have those of us that are here with us in person, as well as those who are joining us online. For today's Poets Corner, we've got at least one guest artist that'll be joining us. And so I will be reading some today and sharing some poetry. We've got Henry Jones, the inaugural Poet Laureate of Hendersonville, Tennessee. And we'll see if we can poke and prod a little bit more from others that are present. So again, thank you for joining us here for Poets Corner. And to get us started, given that this is, well, Black History Month, and I'm Black, but, and we have ourselves living into the Lenten season for many of us on this Christian journey, I will share a piece that's written by me in light of that season. And one of the stories of the biblical text includes that of Jesus on the cross. But imagine, if you will, if the cross could speak. What would the cross say? I am the cross, fully dressed and ready to serve, holding tightly with anticipation. Standing here seems such a simple task, considering past experience. Surely I can hold on for another one. You see those over there casting lots for those clothes, for those rags, but I get to wear the full body of Christ, all to myself. I am the cross, and I am fully dressed and ready to serve, holding tightly with anticipation. What is this? Who are you speaking with? Why are you handling such affairs, saying, here is your mother, woman, here is your son? What is this? Am I not causing enough suffering, enough pain? Well, we'll see how long this lasts. Because I am the cross. Now, wait a second. I'm thirsty? I'm thirsty? What is this? Why would you ask for, give him that sour wine, put it to his mouth. Maybe then he will give up already, extending his suffering for even longer. I'm the cross. I am fully dressed, holding tightly with anticipation. The moment has nearly come. It is finished. Oh, I see. Well, what divine mystery this is to me to, in one breath, realize what has been lost. This weight that I was holding on to, wondering why it would not let go, to now having lost what I realized was not the weight of his body, but the weight that he carried. I am the cross and fully dressed, and what divine mystery this is to me. Well, I am the cross, and having served my purpose, wish another way, a less painful way, could have served God's purpose. All right. So, as we keep going with our time together today, I would like to invite Henry Jones, but if you want another moment, I've got another thing I can grab to read for today. So one of the poets whom I love dearly is Camilla Aisha Moon. And while she is now and has been deceased for a short time in recent years, her words are certainly powerful. And so I invite us to consider in this February the story of Michael Brown. And she begins with a quote from the New York Times that says, "Michael Brown, 18, due to be buried on Monday, was no angel." And the title of this piece is Angel. But wasn't he? Archangel namesake who weeks before saw his fate etched into thick gray clouds. Satan chasing, he saw himself running into the face of God, wings shrapneled against the future flight under these skies, this moon. Another one to hit the ground, leave us reeling before the rapture the faithful still believe in. Coursing the arterial streets of cities, his ghost leads holy armies, seeking justice with a heartbeat. Some earth-bound salvation. Michael, the spiritual warrior and the saint, the chosen and the fallen, brown, man-child, shattered in a broken, promised land, Junior, the eternal son of a brutal, perpetual summer. They would never paint him prone and scared on any chapel's ceilings, his hands so dark and sable unlike God's and Adam's hands, though in the same image and weaponless, yet scrawled underneath August clouds forever is the scene his mother and the world can't erase. Weeks before, he called his father at 1 a.m. after his vision, voice trembling, dreaming. He tried to remember if heaven was anything like this place. Woke up praying that it wouldn't be upon his return. I'd now like to invite Henry Jones to come on up, and we're going to take some turns here as we experience more poetry this evening.
I don't know if you guys can hear it. Here we are. And there's this angelic voice in Bennett Hall singing a song. It might be a spiritual. That would be kind of cool. And she's still singing. But luckily, she has a beautiful voice. Happy Black History Month. Maybe she's here to rehearse. I'm not sure. But
He's a male soprano.
that's Patrick Daly. Okay, he's a male soprano. Okay. Can you hear him? Okay, we're going to get it together here. I've been busy doing Black History Month 2024, online places, and a few in-person places. And it's said that Black history is 365. And I was joking with someone the other day saying, you know, you heard of Christmas in July, but you never heard someone saying, we're going to do a Black History Month event in July, May, August, and so forth. But the importance of it is to connect, whether you have an event or not, to connect with history, the experience, the moments, and that's what I try to do as a poet. I want to share some of the Black history-related poems in my book, Run Into Blackness. The thing of it is, I have this categorized, but basically all my poems are related to Black. It's about experiences of myself and others, cultural identity and all. But I keep asking myself, what does it mean to be Black? And why do certain things happen in the history of my people and the whole interaction? Because I think we have to look at the past, understand what we went through to kind of embrace the future. And we're living at a time of banning and people don't want to listen. But here we are, we got advanced equipment and everything. We have so many ways to reach each other. So come to events like this, because we're opening up. That's my little preaching moment, because this is a way, because if this place was filled with people, it's a difference from interacting in person and the facial expression than online. And I get it. I fall into that trap. You're at home, maybe eating, watching this. It's raining today. You don't want to deal with that. I get it, but let's get back to some personal interaction. This poem, Freedom Song, is about one of these interactive moments. So I grew up visiting one of my grand aunts in Dallas, who one side of the kitchen was cooking with her cigarette on the side of her mouth and the ashes to this very day. I'm like, how come we didn't notice that? They would flicker into what she was cooking. And on the other side, women would come into the kitchen and she would be pressing hair. And so you had that aroma in the kitchen of the smell of her cigarettes, her delicious food, Aunt Caramay, and then later, while things were on the stove, the other side, you'd hear the sizzle and the smell of burning hair and some type of green grease or something, I was just sitting there waiting to eat. This poem, Freedom Song, we shall overcomb. Yeah. The clanking and sizzling of hot combs and burning hair, frying those naps away, getting heads right, so easy with heat to straighten out our problems when together in the kitchen. Women talk and burn, cousins, neighbors, church folks, and iron altar glows. Then put the comb away, let it cool, smell the aroma, put it through, gliding the kinks out, flattening hairs into arrows later to style. That's how to do it. A revolution. Heat on the head, just enough to straighten out our problems. Heat keeps our attention as grease parts the way. Freedom Song, we shall overcome. Thank you. I have since we had our musical company, I have a poem titled The Next Train. As a child, although I love history, when I heard of the Underground Railroad, I thought it had something to do with a train. You heard Freedom Train and all that, and I said, well, wouldn't it have been easier just to have a train? Those slave Africans can get away, jump on the train, go to freedom. Well, I remember having those bizarre thoughts, and I actually wrote a poem, The Next Train. Now, with this, because I've been a lover of trains, I started this years ago at a festival with this heavy anvil, had someone coming up, hitting the anvil, sparks flew. So I've gone from an anvil about the size of a football, which was very heavy, and it would sit on a stool, to this little thing. It's just a chunk of metal. But it still gives a similar sound of spikes being driven with a hammer, that old John Henry style. So I need someone who maybe had a bad day, because I tell people this, that I've done this. This is a good stress reliever. Just drive those spikes, because this is what I'm talking about in the poem.
You want me to do it?
Would you?
Okay.
Thank you, Linda. I don't have my waiver, so if you hit your hand and that's rusty, Just go get your shot, you
And
know.
I'll try and stay a bit of a distance from the mic.
Okay. Well, you want it. Let's just quickly
Let's do
practice.
a sound check.
Go ahead. Now imagine you have that huge hammer and you're driving those. That's it. So you got. Well, she is a musician, so she knows
All right.
there are things in nature, and we as humans we do things that have a rhythm. Okay. The next train. You just continue that. Train track seems to reach a vanishing point as road peaks backs through time when you can still hear old John Henry, arms pounding, hammering, striking metal spikes. Those overworked, overforged nails became deformed and broken, then thrown aside the rails to let rust consume their skin. Here they died, leaving impressions of their labor engraved on blades of hemp. There's a story behind these tracks. Fleeing chains once caressed these rails. Only the wind knew their direction, the sun their fate and dreams. Wheels broke the link at the well, the bond of slavery broken. As the freedom train raced by, now where we run, Harriet, we free. Cold was the soul of the train, mine from a mother's despair, her womb heavy and cramped by her children's fading cries. As they were taken away, so others dug deeper and longer for more coal to feed that train. Placed spirits in the nuggets, the train outran the day as smoke vomited past, smiling faces blackening the sky, eclipsing the sun. We rode to Jordan by the stars. Where's that freedom train now? Roads, homes, and passages kept secret, forming a rail of hope held together by the smith's strength. Hammering out a coded song, trapped the fire in those spikes, twisted fire to consume strength. Cool the rivets to reconnect our past. Tracks bring a resurrecting, a longing for what we lost. Our hope clenching those rails, wishing they were sails to return home. Yet this metal keeps us close to the soil. The only drum we know as we ran. There's a rumble felt as it approaches. Invisible iron horse free to roam, only guided by the echo of sorrow songs. Whistling from the engine to let the riders know to keep close to the train. The train is coming. Lay down your chains, and keep the final weld. I know you were getting tired.
I was like,
You wouldn't have lasted long out there on the train laying track.
this thing is
It's kind of heavy, isn't it? Yeah.
a little bit of heavy.
Yeah, well, the anvil, yeah.
Harder than holding that. If
Yes.
Okay.
But thank you very much. I can hear the music. Thank you very much. So I'm going to pass the mic back to Linda. Joyce, you want to come? We have, speaking of history, we have a little history here from Poets Corner.
Hello, friends, and it's nice to be back at Scarritt Bennett Center for a few days. I'm Joyce Soule, and my introduction to poetry was perhaps a bit different in that it was the church hymnal that I learned that sometimes there was even rhymes in the lyrics of a hymnal, but there was always usually rhythm in the poem and so forth. Once we were having a service over in Whiteman Chapel, and we read the lyrics to a hymn. We did not sing it. No music was given. And a lady wrote in on the Facebook chat or whatever we use on the internet. And she said, I had never experienced just reading a hymn and getting a different message than when I get wrapped up with the music. But it also works just the opposite. Leave the lyrics out and deal only with the music. And it's a different way of expressing the faith in both circumstances. So I've spent a lot of time looking at women's involvement in our church hymnals and the lyrics they wrote and the changes they made in some of our thought processes about justice, welcoming the stranger, showing love to all. I turn it over to you, Miss Linda.
Well, I feel like you gave me a wonderful dovetail. I was flipping through some poems and one of my favorite hymnals. And so I got a collection of hymnals, but I did bring the African American Heritage Hymnal.
Oh, that's good book.
It is really good. It is very well done and very helpful for musicians like me who may have grown up singing and somewhat playing in African American tradition, yet am very much classically trained. And so something about the way that this hymnal was put together allows me just enough guidance to be able to be about bringing the musical elements of the songs and the lyrics in worship leading and participation. So one of the hymns is actually rooted in Negro spirituals. And so I offer you these words for your hearing. And I'll probably sing a little bit while we're here, all right? So here are the words as in this hymnal, but I'm sure there are other lyrics that others have used in combination. Give me Jesus. I heard my mother say, I heard my mother say, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You may have all this world. Give me Jesus. Dark midnight was my cry. Dark midnight was my cry. Dark midnight was my cry. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus, give me Jesus, give me Jesus. You may have all this world. Give me Jesus. Oh, when I come to die, when I come to die, when I come to die, give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You may have all this world. Give me Jesus. I heard Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You may have all this world. Give me Jesus. Ooh, give me Jesus, give me. Sometimes you got to say a phrase multiple times to get it into your system. It's one thing I like about hymns or songs or spirituals that are repetitive in nature, that remind us, even as we just said it, what is behind the words. There's one that says, I want Jesus to walk with me. I want Jesus to walk with me. I just said it, right? But it repeats it again. All along my pilgrim journey, Lord, I want Jesus to walk with me. And then it gets into when. In my trials, Lord, walk with me. In my trials, Lord, walk with me when the shades of life are falling. Lord, I want Jesus to walk with me.
Linda,
yes.
when you read that,
When I read that, I'm echoing you because I'll make sure it goes into the mic.
do you feel different than when you sing it?
Do I feel different than when I sing it? When I read it, my storyteller heart comes out a little more.
That's true.
I'm thinking about each word or phrase and the impact of it as it impacts me while I'm reading it. And I imagine it resonates for those that are listening in the way that I read. When I sing it, it's like I'm giving those words wings.
Good. Good.
So it's an amplification. I think that's one of the things that's often missed in church life. I love it when you experience that in congregational singing, especially. There's something about a collective of people circling around these words in song, but it gets missed, like when you describe someone being hung up on the melody or the music.
Or the musicians are performing instead of worshiping and leading the congregation.
So we're having teachable moments tonight, y'all. The thing that I love about performance, and it's one thing that I love about it in light of Poets Corner and poetry reading especially, there is something tangible to the performance that you don't quite get just in the reading of it in your own mind. It's also something, so when I teach the public reading of scripture, and I've done some workshops and whatnot, and I took a class on it myself, and when I talk about the public reading of scripture or poetry, and there's poetry in scripture too, I talk about how the performance is not a performance of acting and playing pretend. It's a performance of genuine expression in a way that can be heard, often and seen. So I encourage those who go up to read scripture on Sunday morning or whenever you have church to do the best that you can to perform the text with that heart in mind. To perform so that the meaning, the intent, the drive behind whatever you're bringing forward can be received. It's a lot like watching a really good dramatic TV show. Can you imagine how you would not watch it if the performance was not telling you the story well? It is much the same with our evangelistic work in preaching and teaching and otherwise engaging folks in the scriptural stories and our own stories, in our own writings. So, all right, so there's the story of God and the story of us and how it all kind of comes together. It doesn't have to be biblical story for it to be worth telling. So, I'm going to close this moment and then pass the mic again with, I think I lost it. I think it's maybe this one. We'll see how much of this story you can catch in this sharing. It's a different book. The first one I read from Camilla Aisha Moon was Starshine and Clay. And this one, which I got to find the page because there's a one with the title, is her book, She Has a Name. And I'll just use this one. Borderless Country. 1 in 150 now. This glitch in babies poised to unlock the world. These daughters and sons of poets, store clerks, salesmen, singers, CEOs, janitors, actors, cast into this permanent script, souls we love turned. Like the face of a flower's thrust toward a rogue sun. We are the earth we walk. What seeps here? Is the air fighting back? Is the water slowly baskets down, sending them back upstream? Are we changing? Dear God, are they here to tell us in a way we cannot ignore that we aren't changing fast enough? Autism, the one-drop rule for minds. We strain to understand the catch-all phrase that drops kids off at nowhere. At you don't exist once you turn 18. At native tongue of one, at white-knuckled translation cobbled through touch across time, at marquee symptoms while cause lurk, at beauty that demands seas of patience. What about that drug I took once? Vaccine, some karmic boomerang I don't remember throwing its stealth return. 1 in 150 apples of somebody's eye. 1 in 150, my baby. 1 in 150 now, a new child breathes private riddles of our loving strapped on many backs. All right, Henry, come on down.
I don't know what it is with me and this microphone. Let's keep this train going. That was wonderful, Linda. And yeah, it's all about connecting. That's the bottom line, with words. This poem is titled Waiting for Justice. I write a lot about justice. Scarritt Bennett Center is about social justice. And again, history. Black people, we're still trying to get that justice. Waiting for justice. Eyes watching again. The historical lens burning, running away. Black ants looking for relief beneath the glass. Now comes the children's boots stomping and laughing at the many lives perishing under their souls, crushing souls, but praise on the helpless. Little black ants wanting sugar just to survive in their burrows. Hidden valleys to the queen, lost her pyramids in the crack raids, so built little places for her children to thrive. As they see so many smashed, smeared remains of bloody parts, forensic art so cheaply, mass evidence of the psychotic nature and deliverance of genocide. The oral histories of survivors quivering, trying, just trying to hold on. Called junkies in disguise to hide from the therapist's probing eyes, entertaining gaze, look, amaze. How long will these ants fight? So many torn families. Wretched of the earth, climate change, the diapers of orphans being made, but hear the dead's echoed silence which resonates to the living, though the Pharaoh's chambers, but afraid of the ancient truth, shadowed amongst the lies told, but there's so much darkness. Unable to see their chapped lips crying out for justice still. They hear the quakes below, hiding in their homes, protecting the remaining babies, knowing any moment they too will be crushed by the hateful innocents who are just being children, it said. Learning to kill others dancing, knowing the power of the knees. No longer are chains or whips needed. Besides, children just love to play. They don't know any better. These little black things really don't matter to anyone. As the ants feel and hear the quakes pounding on their heads until unable to sleep at night, can't seem to remember history, which helps to destroy their vision, so they must become numb and begin craving lace sugar to eat, just trying to work the dream, make each generation better. But none of this matters now, as the ants wait, clinging inside their underground tunnels, wanting to run away to those railroads to freedom. Harriet's paths of footprints seem to no longer be wanted, but still surrounded by fear, knowing there's no place to go. The violence is in the grass when they walk around and follows them home. Like the incident to disregard, it's just something that happens. Who showed these children how to use their knees for joy, jump high enough to rise in the world, to become mighty Greek gods worthy of sacrifice with bloodshed. Then mount their statues on buildings, and we ask, how many dead ants are needed? As tunnels collapse, they suffocate, crying out so many times for hope, which becomes in small grains, portions to feed each mouth, the bitter commune to swallow. Many say it's better than before. The ants bend their knees to pray, with eyes closed tightly, just to hold on, waiting for justice. But that never seems to be enough. Waiting for justice. I get these heavy poems, then I gotta kind of let it settle. It's like you get someone comes say, try this alcohol. I'm not a drinker, but they say, try this. And there's difference between they're giving you a glass full and say, drink, versus a little sip, or a shot glass. Well, yeah. So let me go with this one here. Comfort. Earlier I talked about us not being in person, and there are moments when we need to be with each other. This poem is titled Comfort. All of us have either heard about deaths or actually had deaths occur in our family members and friends. I embraced her, kissed her tears, drenching my lips and the pillow, then held her to rock her to sleep, calm the grief, hoping her pain faded soon. Comfort. This poem is, Black history. We hear about the historical first and all the achievements, and you kind of intermix that with what's going on today. Because what is history if you don't apply it to what's going on today? Here in Nashville, we have, it's one of the areas going through gentrification, and I was involved in an exhibit and a project called Kindred Links, where I and Omari Booker, we exhibited our art at the Parthenon Museum. We did a documentary where we drove around North Nashville looking at the changes occurring. And this poem was part of the exhibit. It is titled Once We Ran with the Wind, because as I, being a visual person as well, I kept seeing all these neighborhoods, and I've seen them before. I remember what they used to look like, and I was just amazed. Once we ran with the wind. I searching for old paths, longing to find our lost dreams. Once we easily found in the streets, named after no one we knew, or anyone who cared about us. Legs racing for the house, seeing a beacon to get home before the streetlights came on, lit for swift children to know, passing, smiling, waving neighbors. Better move your butt faster. They knew why you ran, to prevent whippings with a belt. For better late, not again. So you ran like a gazelle, swallowing Wilma's breath, giving you a second wind, pretending to be the hero Flash. Better get home soon, late legs, as trails of dry leaves rise and fall. Quickly hiding your direction, so hunters couldn't follow you home, mark the sacred space as condemned. Our house was all we had, but just enough to make us believe we were safe at night. Our house where laughter painted the walls, layered memories of joy and pain, welcomed griot voices that echoed history with stories about the now to now. As bowlegs kept moving, knowing, we walked along broken roads to work. We marched on many streets for justice. We ran through grassy fields to freedom. We danced to release all our heartache until weary and worn, but we kept moving until those legs found their way back home. No matter how far, they never stopped, finding a way to make a way. 'Cause stopping isn't in us to do ever. So when we fall, we rise mighty again. On strong currents with wide wings, we learn to fly away, seeing faces as pavers along the paths. Those journeys of rising and falling, so many times we became dizzy. But we just smiled, still moving, and changed motion into music, pulling out songs from our hearts, singing words from our longing, old spirituals to those way makers. Now we struggle to keep going. No one can see us moving along, ghostly glances of us, past new faces, twisted smiles stand their ground, new roads, new faces, new places. We just gone, vanished overnight, pretending we never existed, Only secret remains found of us as I search for old paths, longing to find our lost dreams. Once we ran with the wind.
Thank you.
Thank you. During COVID, well, at the start of COVID, I got COVID. I'm asthmatic. And hearing all those things that COVID attacked the respiratory system, of course, I was very, very, very nervous. Afraid, not nervous, afraid. Because I said, well, I'm in that group, people with that type of asthma, pre-existing things. So when I got COVID, it wasn't as bad as I thought or what I heard, but it was still a struggle in terms of breathing. And even now, I'm actually on a new inhaler, stronger because of the lingering effects. But this is one of many poems that I've written because of that experience. It's titled Burning Inside. My throat burns when I inhale, mocking the wind of hell, breezes of a hot oven in my face, which leaves me breathless, wanting only a cool relief. My eyes release slow tears when my chest rises and falls, wondering if the motions slow become powerless and just stop, and death floating in silence. My head throbs from thinking while counting the breaths, trying to meditate, regulate the shallow streams of air, feeding my mind with peace. My heart races too quickly, echoing in my head, thumping beats of a drum calling for help. Slow down, the reaper's hears it, wanting to snatch me away. My back feels the sharp pains, needing to crack away oldness. That spot, no twist seems to help. Yoga moves unlock stiff joints, orchestra of cracking sounds. My mouth seeks a tasteful dew, calling for a gentle rain to fall, then throw my head back in it, open my mouth to catch drops, swallowing a soothing fountain. Now I could say, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. So I'm going to throw the mic back to you, sister. Come on out.
For whatever reason, I don't know if it's not that I haven't been in this space in a while, but something about today is reminding me of a time that I came to Scarritt Bennett Center, and it was actually in the room above us in Raintree, and leading children through some sessions for what is now called Mission U. Of the United Women in Faith organization, then the United Methodist Women. And I think somewhere near about then, I ended up here and was learning or doing some songwriting activities and whatnot. Ended up taking up part of that and from into this space downstairs over to, there's a piano in the corner, and explored trying to write some words. And I didn't do a lot of songwriting before then. And so one of them, I think, spoke to kind of my story. And many folks know me for some performances and other types of things, but I don't tend to hype myself up a lot. And so the words for that song I was remembering, I'm wondering if I can remember all of it. And it goes something like this. Do, re, mi, myself and I secretly practicing secretly opening, secretly hoping, yet far is as far as I can go from here. I look around. Is it safe? Do they know? Do, re, me, myself, and I, secretly practicing, secretly opening, secretly hoping. Just imagine the possibilities of touching their hearts. By the time I get to do, oh, do, re, mi, I, myself, and no one else may ever know. And that's as far as I can really remember. I know, right? I just cliffhangered it. But it went a little bit like this. Do, re, mi, myself, and I, secretly practicing, secretly opening, secretly hoping, yet far is as far as I can go from here. I look around. Is it safe? Do they know? Do, re, mi, myself, and I, secretly practicing, secretly opening, secretly hoping. Just imagine the possibilities of touching their heart by the time I get to do. Do, re, mi, I, myself, and no one else may never know. And I said a melody, and I think I got nervous in my writing. So I let it go down to do. Something like that. So it's fun to write. So if you haven't been inspired yet by any of our writings we've read of others, writings from hymns, writings from folks that couldn't write or have access to do so from slavery on to today, it is a beautiful practice of telling one's story. It doesn't have to perfectly rhyme. Oftentimes we assume that that's how poetry works. I think one of my favorite, if you missed the January Poets Corner, we had Joy Poet, Viraja R., and she had off to the side told me a story of her granddaughter, I believe. And it was just a beautiful thing for her to tell this experience of this little girl who has to be maybe 4 or 5, walking outside and talking about the leaves. And it was something akin to, look, they fall. They fall so soft and make no sound. I love the leaves. And like, that's a poem, right? Like, and it puts you, it was like, I'm sitting there listening to her tell this short little thing, and I'm just imagining myself being this kid, noticing these leaves and recognizing something beautiful about them. And it brings me into a like, I think my shoulders might have relaxed more, my countenance lifted up, just to be in the moment of a good story, however brief some may be. And some stories bring our bodies into other places. Some are a little more traumatic. Some invite us to better understand the stories of those that we may never experience for ourselves. And so you may notice, especially in the coming months of Poets Corner, because it is on a Thursday evening, actually 4th Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. in person, come hang out with us on campus at Scarritt Bennett Center, that these Thursdays are Thursdays in black. And so if you notice this button that I have on, it actually says, toward a world without, well, I want to make sure I read it Right. Without rape and violence. Thursdays in Black. And it has our logo, Scarritt Bennett Center, and the World Council of Churches. And this initiative is something that we support here, that we'll be bringing to light in various ways. If you would like to participate with us, if you'd like to have a button to wear, come on down anytime. They have them at the front desk in our Welcome Center. And join us in these stories. One way that you can join us in March in a more tangible way, if you would like, is through our book club. Book club, we are reading a book called Magic Hour. And Magic Hour, we've got that as an event on our website, has some story that connects with this Thursdays in Black initiative in ways, and we will be inviting you, or are inviting you, to engage with us in conversation in person or online. We do meet with a Zoom hybrid situation, so all together through in-person and online. And you can learn more about how to connect, again, on the events calendar at scarrittbennett.org/events. And there are many, many things already up and a whole lot more to come. So if you would like to be a part of our mission to create space where individuals and groups engage each other to achieve a more just world here at Scarritt Bennett Center, please join us. There are umpteenth number of opportunities to engage. There's also just some good fellowship, hangout time before and after events, and food. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in the Susie Gray Dining Hall, we have lunch on campus. And what better way to connect and build relationships than over a meal? So I just want to thank everyone for coming and for being with us, for connecting with us. Thank you if you happen to watch after the fact online when we're not live. And certainly, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace. And until we meet again, God bless.